Hey there, everyone. Sorry about the no sunshines this morning. It was quite the morning, but that's okay. I am up and ready for our LAPD commission meeting. What about you? I'm not even going to log in yet, but here is where we're at. Let me see. Let me go to... Hey, Miriam. Hi, Phyllis. Good morning. Good morning, Kathy Shogans. How are you doing today? I have the link. That is the link. It's also on the description. I'm not going to log in quite yet. Hey, Haggis. Good afternoon, darling. Hey, HGTV. Hot Grannies TV. I like that. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, Amy. Saw your post earlier, Amy, about Chiara's great letter to the commission yesterday. Nah, I got up this morning and was just like, I just need a morning off. I have things to do, running 5 zillion different ways. Hey, Ganja. So I figured I would just take the morning and get fluffed and buffed and get ready. Are you? Yeah, there's like hardly no meetings the rest of the week, and you have in 2 days. Hey, AZ, good morning. Yep, I'm ready for this. I think I have it. There we go. AZ, you've had quite a few streams going on lately. Hey, Paula. Hey, Paula. Miriam, you're in charge. I'll be right back. Sorry, you guys. Somebody upset Mother Nature today. Hey, DT. Good morning. What did I miss? What did I miss? Sorry. Ooh, get your travel coffee done and get to work. Yep. Yep. No fighting in here. What did I miss? Who's fighting in here? Hey, Peter. So far, your Zoom is doing what it did the last time, buffering. Yeah, it's buffering, Great Grandma, because I'll come sit on the couch with you today, Peter. Oh, hey, Minnie. I didn't see you were in here. You know what, you guys? Everybody's sitting on the couch holding hands, or else get off the couch. That's all I got to say. No fighting today. We are all grown-ups. That's right. Hey, Mandy. Good morning. Hey, Never in PA. Hey, King's Kid. And there's no defense needed. If you say what you're going to say, that's cool. You farted on your cushion, and that's all there is to it. But this is, right now, right here is not the place for anybody to fight. So we're either going to be encouraging in here or not. Did you lift your cheek? Did you woofed it his way too? And I'm sitting next to Peter Haggis, so don't be wifting your ass this way. Start pointing your cheeks the other way, please. I guess it's 10 after. They usually don't start until right at. Let me go in here. Let me get at least set up. Open link in new tab. Join as attendee. Cancel. Download now. Join from browser. Don't peek. And I am just joking because everybody knows my email anyways. Join. Nope, they have not started yet. And I'm going to open a new link. Join as attendee. Open Zoom meetings. I gotta sign in both ways in order to get it correct. I already have my statement written out, what I'm going to say. That's all good, that's all ready. Sorry, I was Thank you, DT. I do not encourage people to call in with not purview stuff. So I completely agree with that, DT. I completely agree that that Public Works call was shit towards audit, and that's between audit and Minnie and Kenny. Both of them did it. So that's not my issue. Ruh-roh. Peter is a real troublemaker, but he makes us giggle at least. What do you call it when you fart and then you put the blankets over somebody's head? Hey, Irish. Exactly. Okay, I'm going to repeat this. What Peter just said. It's hard enough to get on the LAPD commission. So if you are going to take the time to be on there, don't be an asshat. Make it worth the while. Dutch oven. Thank you, you guys. Please make it worth the while. You know, we've been busting our ass for, I have been busting my ass getting OIG meetings, getting chief meetings, getting all sorts of shit. And honestly, I mean, you're on your own for LAPD commission. If you make a shitball, dirtball of yourself, have at it, because I've already made my relationship and respect with the commission and with the chief. So you're only making yourself look bad if you call in and be a jerk to anybody. So you're taking your own credence away. However, saying that, it's free speech. So you do you. What does Natalie say? You do you, boo. Whatever. But I'm not letting anybody bring me down. Don't bring me down. Broop. Little Miss Audit must be calling in because she is blowing up my text. Hey, Antics. ELO, right? Well, the problem is that there's only so many calls. They only take so many calls. They supposedly go back and forth between in person and on the Zoom, supposedly, but they don't always do that. So sometimes only one or two people, if it's even fellow protesters that get on. So make it count, folks. Hey, Susan P. Yeah, 'cause she's like sugar. She'll melt if she goes out into the rain. That's right, Mandy Me. This is a time for all of us to protect rights. Hey, good morning, Danny and Leah's channel. You know, I didn't do a Good Morning Sunshines this morning. I was doing a few other things. So this is in lieu of. So back to what I was saying. LAPD comment time is precious. And as I said, I've already made my relationship and my respect with the commission. So what you do is what you do, and you're just making yourself look silly. I've busted my ass this last year to make sure that my relationship is there, and I'm not too proud to say that. I have busted my ass. Yeah, it's very limited and it's very precious. If you get on, hey, good morning, the battle. If you get on, make good use of it. As long as we don't get bed bugs or roaches, I think we're good, Peter. Or as long as it doesn't get too smelly. Hey, Sophia. Yeah, I don't know, it's kind of cold and windy here, but at least it's in the 50s. So I'll take it. I'll take 50s and 60s all day long. Sniffly, sniffly do. The kids were spraying fart spray to get a lab canceled. So that way everybody thought somebody crapped their pants. The ganja, there's so much more that can be talked about. Wow, that is glorious. That is that's 72 is wonderful. That looks like a wonderful breakfast, haggis. Hey, let's go. Oh, no worries. I like hosting this stream. And hopefully next week I'll be able to do it too. I was gonna tickle Ganja's ear and see maybe if she could do public works for a few tries. Yeah, it's nice here too. She has been doing some really amazing recap videos, huh? Short and sweet. Yeah, This would be hard without a computer. I have no clue how you guys do everything off your phone. No clue whatsoever. First of all, I can't read off my phone. It's too little. I have to zoom everything. Yeah, you use two different devices to do that. I don't use my phone at all to call into these meetings unless it happens to be one where you need to. But I just use the browser and the Zoom app. Oh, how cool. You're gonna have a matching Miriam hat? The Muriel twins? Yeah, I really have just a cheap little laptop computer that I use. I don't have anything wonderful in the other room. I have trading screens, but I don't use that for the streaming. Oh, you're gonna finish Cricket's hat first? All right, very cool. Ooh, sneezes. Yep, I just have a cheap little Lenovo that I use, and it gets the job done. You don't need much. That's very cool. That's very sweet of you, Antics. Um, yeah, well, they change so quick, so fast. It's kind of silly to buy the most expensive one when they're outdated within a year anyways. Oh, very cool. Sorry, let me answer this. What a morning. What a day. What a week. What a month. Oh, Streets is at the live. Streets is at the thing. I see him live. So Streets is there. I wish others were there as well to talk about Scientology. There may be. I just happened to grab my phone to look at something, and I saw he was live and is there. So there may be other people there. I don't know. I know Audit is not there. She is calling in. So we're all going to be duking it out for spots, whoever calls in. Yeah, there's a lot of things happening per day. For us that multitask, well, that's okay. But for those that don't, it's tumultuous in the brain. Hey, Joe Bananas. So I got an update from Henry on the court case this morning. He said, tell them the court has no verification on whether the gun surrender is legitimate or not. They don't even subpoena the cop, and the LAPD provides no proof. Anyone can forge a signature. What a world.
Recording in progress.
Good morning, Commissioners, Chief McDonald, Mr. Sibley, Madam Secretary, Acting Inspector General Florence Yu, Mr. City Attorney. Today is Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. It is 9:30 a.m. This is a regular meeting of the Los Angeles Board of Police Commissioners. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Good morning. Please let the record reflect Commissioners Suthers, Calanche, Garcia, and Sanchez Gordon are present, and we have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. We welcome everyone attending this morning. The Police Commission is committed to ensuring equal access to its meetings. It is requested that individuals who require the services of a translator contact the board secretary no later than the day preceding the meeting. Whenever possible, a translator will be provided. Sign language interpreters, assistive listening devices, or other auxiliary aids and/or services may be provided upon request. To ensure availability, you are advised to make your request at least 72 hours prior to the meeting you wish to attend. All public comment will be heard during item number 2 on the agenda. We will dedicate a total of 45 minutes to public comment. Members of the public will have 1 minute per agenda item for a maximum of 2 minutes total. At the request of the speaker will be given 1 additional minute for general public comment for a maximum of 3 minutes total. Members of the public who participate in public comment are reminded that they can speak to any item on the agenda or a matter within the jurisdiction of the Board of Police Commissioners. Public comment is your opportunity to address the board, so you're free to express your opinion on matters before the board and to generally express when you disagree with other opinions expressed. However, directing your comments to other individuals who have spoken or attacking others who have expressed their opinion shall be deemed off topic, and your public comment period will be concluded. Members of the public, if you choose to participate in public comment portion of the agenda, you can participate in this meeting in a number of ways outlined on the agenda. Message for those attending the meeting in person. These meetings are regular meetings between the board, the department, and key stakeholders. Meetings with the Board of Police Commissioners are open to the public. The state's Ralph M. Brown Act affords the public the opportunity to be present at the meetings, hear the presentations and dialogue in real time, and provide, sir, you're disrupting the meeting. And dialogue in real time and provide feedback via the public comment period. During these meetings, there's a need for the board to carry out public business expeditiously without delays or disruptions. Members of the audience shall not engage in any conduct which causes an actual disruption of the meeting. Those attending in person are reminded that disruptive behavior will be cause for removal. If you disrupt this meeting, you will be provided with only one warning to cease disruptive behavior. If you fail to cease such behavior, you will be removed from the meeting. All attendees must be seated. Failure to follow this rule will result in a warning and/or removal from the meeting. With that, we will move to item number 1, the report of the Chief of Police, Chief McDonald.
Good morning, President Southers, Vice President Shields, Commissioners, Acting Inspector General Yu, City Attorney De La Guerra, and Mr. Sibley. Today, I'll be discussing significant events from the previous week, providing a crime update, and discussing our personnel strength. We had no officer-involved shootings or categorical uses of force during the previous week. Year-to-date, we're at 6 officer-involved shootings in comparison to 7 same time last year, for a 14.3% decrease. As expected, the city's preparing for the upcoming rain, with a particular focus on communities affected by the Palisades, Hearst, and Sunset fires. We're closely coordinating efforts and actively monitoring conditions to ensure the safety of those in impacted areas. I urge everyone to be prepared, remain vigilant, especially if an evacuation order becomes necessary. Being ready ahead of time can make all the difference in ensuring a swift and safe response. We'll continue to provide updates as the situation develops. On March 9th, 2025, at approximately 23:30 hours, LAPD officers assigned to the Palisades Fire Crime Suppression Detail responded to a radio call regarding 2 trespass suspects walking with shovels near Pacific Coast Highway and Coastline Drive. Officers located the individuals walking southbound near PCH and Sunset and detained them. Officers confirmed that neither had a lawful reason to be inside the designated evacuation zone. Both suspects were arrested for Penal Code 409.5C, unauthorized entry into a closed emergency area, and were issued a release from custody citation and released. The incident highlights the department's ongoing commitment to crime suppression efforts in the wake of the Palisades fire. Since January 7th emergency declaration by the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors, the department has dedicated significant resources to securing the impacted areas, protecting property, and preventing criminal activity. Under Penal Code Section 409.5, unauthorized entry into an emergency area is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 6 months in jail and a fine of up to $1,000. As we continue to support recovery efforts and work toward rebuilding, there will be zero tolerance for individuals who unlawfully enter restricted areas or attempt to exploit these vulnerable communities. The safety and security of these neighborhoods remain a top priority. On March 7th, Metropolitan B Platoon officers conducted surveillance on a highly active burglary crew identified by North Hollywood burglary detectives. This crew, known as the Uber Eats crew, has been targeting homes by posing as food delivery drivers, often wearing Uber Eats or Amazon vests to appear legitimate. Their tactic was simple: approach a residence under the guise of making a delivery, and if no one answered the door, they proceeded to burglarize the home. Using department resources, detectives identified a primary suspect and used investigative techniques to track his movements. As the investigation progressed, the second suspect was identified. They monitored the suspects as they traveled across Valley and West Bureau divisions, confirming their pattern of casing and burglarizing homes. During surveillance, officers observed the suspects put on Amazon vests before approaching a residence in Wilshire Division. The vehicle they were using had no license plates attached, and while no immediate signs of forced entry were observed at the location, the suspects were later seen in an alley putting license plates back on their vehicle. From there, they drove to a home in Van Nuys, where they committed a hot prowl burglary, meaning that the residents were inside at the time of the burglary. As they fled, an airship tracked their vehicle and provided real-time updates to responding units. Before officers could engage, the vehicle's passenger jumped out and fled on foot. Responding units pursued and later apprehended the suspect. Meanwhile, the vehicle continued at a high rate of speed, and as officers worked to catch up, the airship was forced to discontinue tracking due to entering LAX airspace. The suspect vehicle was eventually found abandoned near the airport, where officers recovered video evidence and additional forensic material. Officers continued to track the primary suspect using various investigative techniques, which ultimately led them to an apartment complex in North Hollywood. There, officers identified a vehicle linked to a possible associate and conducted a traffic stop. The primary suspect was taken into custody without incident, and a parole search of his residence uncovered additional evidence tying the crew to multiple burglaries. This operation was a prime example of coordinated intelligence-led policing, bringing together North Hollywood burglary detectives, Metropolitan Division, and air support to dismantle an organized crew targeting many of our communities. On a second burglary crew arrest incident, North Hollywood Division was the lead on significant multi-agency burglary investigation involving a series of residential burglary impacting West LA, North Hollywood, and Topanga areas. This case developed through collaborative efforts between North Hollywood burglary detectives, Metropolitan's Criminal Impact Team, and Commercial Crimes Division, ultimately leading to the identification and arrest of multiple suspects. These individuals were linked to at least 7 burglaries, with video evidence showing them wearing identical clothing across multiple incidents. In one attempt, 3 masked suspects were captured on surveillance footage, shutting off the power to a residence before attempting to gain entry. When confronted by the victims inside, they fled the scene in a black BMW. Detectives used department resources to identify a primary suspect, which allowed officers to formulate a surveillance plan to gather intelligence on his residence, vehicle, and known associates. On March 5th, officers deployed early around the suspect's residence and observed him leaving in the black BMW. Due to the suspect's erratic driving behavior, special flights was requested to assist with tracking. The vehicle was monitored as it drove through Glendale and Burbank. During this time, a burglary in progress was reported in the area, and shortly thereafter, the suspect vehicle fled from the location. The air unit coordinated with responding Burbank PD officers who attempted to stop the vehicle. A short distance away, the suspect crashed their vehicle and fled on foot. A perimeter was established with assistance from Burbank PD, and all 3 suspects were ultimately taken into custody. North Hollywood detectives later completed a search warrant on the primary suspect's residence, where additional evidence was recovered, further tying them to the burglary series. Again, demonstrating the effectiveness of intelligence-led policing and interagency collaboration, thanks to the coordinated efforts of North Hollywood burglary detectives, Metro CIT, air support, and Burbank PD, a highly active burglary crew has been apprehended. Through March 8th, the city has seen encouraging reductions in overall crime, with combined persons and property crimes down 7.4% compared to the prior 4-week period. Persons crimes have decreased by 1.2%, while property crimes are down by 9%. Homicides continue to trend downward, with year-to-date decrease of 30.8%, or 16 fewer homicides compared to this time last year. Notably, there have been no multi-victim homicides in 2025, whereas in 2024, 4 multi-victim incidents accounted for 9 homicide victims by the same period. Gang-related homicides remain consistent, accounting for 41% of all homicides in both 24 and 25. However, one concerning trend is the increase in homeless victims, who now account for 28.2% of homicide victims this year, compared to 15.5% in the same period last year. Despite this shift, every bureau has seen an overall reduction in homicides, with Operations West Bureau experiencing the largest decrease at 7 fewer cases. Rampart Division, which recorded 7 homicides by this time last year, has reported none in 2025, and Hollywood has also seen a drop from 4 homicides in 24 to 0 this year. The number of shooting victims citywide has also declined, with a 21.7 year-to-date decrease compared to 2024. Aggravated assaults have increased by 4.1% over the past 4 weeks, with notable increases in Newton, West Valley, Mission, and 77th Street divisions. There have been no trend or pattern associated with these divisions experiencing an increase. At the same time, robberies have decreased by 9.5%, with firearms-related robberies down 25.3%. Burglaries have increased by 8.9% in the past 4 weeks, with spikes in areas like Topanga, Devonshire, Olympic, and Southwest divisions. Residential burglaries are up 8.9%, while non-residential burglaries have risen by 19.2%, with significant increases in Pacific, Topanga, and Newton divisions. We continue to monitor burglary crews, such as the recently apprehended Uber Eats crew, to address organized crime patterns that contribute to these trends. Motor vehicle thefts have decreased by 11.2% over the past 4 weeks. And while we've seen progress in several areas, we recognize the challenges that remain. Our department remains committed to the strategic, intelligence-led policing, focusing on crime suppression efforts, an area where we see increases. Our personnel strength as of March 10th, on the sworn side, we stand at 8,761, civilian professional staff at 2,660, and reserve officers steady at 380. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Chief. And I'll open the floor for questions or comments from other commissioners. Mr. Garcia, Mr. Calanche,
Question.
please go ahead.
Chief, just want to get an update from you on what we keep hearing in the news regarding the officers in the recruitment office. And I just want to make sure that we're doing everything that we need to do to ensure that that issue is being addressed. So if you can just provide us an update.
Absolutely. Yeah, we became aware several weeks back now of the incident that you talk about where totally inappropriate comments were being made in the workplace. They were captured on audio tape. Once we became aware of that, immediately pulled the involved officers out of that unit, assigned them to home with no police powers, and have made the notifications, notified the commission, the mayor's office, the inspector general, and move forward with the investigation. We have since, we're in the process of backfilling all of those individuals so that we can keep the job going of recruitment and bringing people on board. But certainly a major setback for all of us, and just, disgusted with what we heard. But the investigation will go on, appropriate action will be taken.
Thank you.
Please allow the commissioner to ask her question. Thank you.
And just for clarity, like there is like a internal due process that the department has to go through. Because these are, officers that have protections as employees, just like any city employee. So it's not like we can just fire them on the spot. Just want to ensure that the public knows that they're not in their current positions or at home, and that they will go through the internal process that everyone is basically
With the white mask, excuse me, Commissioner, you're disrupting the meeting. This is your first and only warning. Go ahead, Commissioner.
So just want to make sure that we're clear about the process and that there is a system in place to address employee issues, and police officers are part of the civil service system. So just wanted to be clear about that.
No, thank you for that. Yeah, there is a process, and it does not happen overnight, but it's certainly being taken very seriously. The investigation, we've dedicated significant resources to it, and it'll be expedited as quickly as possible.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Sanchez-Gordon?
Good morning. Morning, Chief.
Good morning.
I also want to discuss this article that appeared in the paper yesterday, March 10th, regarding the racist comments at LAPD. I'm happy to hear that you have taken steps, and I think that what was reported in the article is that you are deeply disappointed by reports that certain officers recorded making racist and offensive comments regarding department applicants. Our numbers are low. These comments are totally unacceptable. They don't really allow for a serious consideration of those that are interested in joining the LAPD. I attended my first graduation. I was happy to see families there, the incoming LAPD officers, and it's really a wonderful sight to see that we have all these young people interested in coming into law enforcement. But it also is disheartening when these comments continue, and within not the low ranks of the department, but people in authority, people who have been around LAPD for a while. And it's disheartening in the sense that it's coming from everyone. It's coming from Black officers. It's coming from women. It's coming from Latinos. It's coming from Asians. And I hope that this investigation is really one that will have impact and will also send a message that our department cannot continue with that toxic environment. So I'm happy to hear, Chief, that you made these comments to the public, that you've made it known to everyone of your position, and that it's unacceptable conduct within LAPD.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Chief, if I could just follow up.
Sure.
As you know, we're going to be losing 100 officers over the next year due to retirement, and if for nothing other, no other reason. I want to applaud the recruiting section, because as each time I go out to the Honest Recruit Training Center every month, there's about 100 people that are applying to the department. It is going to be difficult to recruit. Ma'am, you're disrupting the meeting. This is your first and last warning. It is difficult to recruit when people who apply to this department I'll try one more time. You're being removed from the meeting. Stand up and leave the room. Black mask, black jacket. I'm ordering you out of the room. I didn't stutter. Black mask, black jacket. Stand up, leave the room. Now. Then you both can leave. I'll run the meeting, sir. Sit down and shut up. You're both being removed from the meeting. You are both being removed from the meeting. Chief, as applicants apply to this department, they want to believe that there's a level playing field. And it would appear that when you hear statements allegedly made like that by people who are doing the hiring here, that certainly doesn't give that perception. So we're looking forward to a fair and just process, obviously, for those officers that go through. But at the same time, we want to afford the applicants to this department the same fair and just process when they apply.
Yes, absolutely, Mr. President.
We will now go to the public comment period. Madam Secretary, please call the first speaker.
The first speaker is Andrew Grabner.
Voice. All right, so we had 9 minutes and 32 seconds today. I kept track of it, of McDonald lying and giving all kinds of gaslighting. Meanwhile, we get 3 minutes to try to respond to it. I guess the chief's special like that. And, you know, people are just trying to, and people come here to give their comments, and we got you, Errol, literally telling people to sit down and shut up. I mean, that's like a, you know, it's just like a almost exaggeration of the way presiding officers sometimes interact with the public. We don't have, you're actually just outright saying it. And meanwhile, you know, McDonald can't even be bothered to say the word racist. He can't even say that word. And, you know, it's not, we see how the LAPD talks about people who are trying to become cops, literally trying to become one of you. How? How does the LAPD talk about just regular members of the public? Because clearly, this is how they talk about recruits, people trying to become cops. How do they talk about just regular members of the public? It's got to be a lot worse. I mean, this is clearly a serious culture of racism and just general hatred going on in this department, which I guess is not really surprising to people who have paid attention over the years to what you do. But it still just shows that there is some kind of clear culture going on, and clearly none of you are interested in addressing it. And we see it just with the agenda items here. I mean, there's a donation. You're now hiding where you get your dogs from. We know it's from that kennel named after the bunker that Hitler hid out at the end of World War II. That's where you get your dogs from. That kennel named after Hitler's bunker, and you want to hide it. You want to hide the source of where you're getting your dogs from. I mean, we've got donations for just weird, unspecified tools that no one even knows what they do or what they are. They're just confusing stuff. You got so much money just for parties, for weird desert runs, $15,000 for a car wash. I mean, this is just a mess. This is just shoveling money around. You're just corruption, racism. Meanwhile, people are getting shot by the LAPD, and you keep lying about how you're not helping immigration officials. Providing traffic control is assisting immigration officials. Providing traffic control is a form of assisting them. So stop lying and saying the LAPD is an assist.
Thank you.
Next, we have Audit LA.
Good morning. I do want to really quickly address about the scandal. I do know somebody who is applying, and I'm hoping that you will overlook everything that they have done and give everyone a fair, fresh look and a chance, if they want to become part of LAPD. I also want to refer to the people that came and spoke, the survivors, the victims that spoke 2 weeks ago. I don't want that to fall away and be lost. I want to thank actually Phil Tabby. I'm going to call him out and thank him because he's been listening to all of this. And that when he stood up last week, I wasn't able to be there. I heard it though. He stood up for the victims and saying, "You guys need to look into this. You please, what are you doing?" So I thank him that people are hearing and they're asking the questions that please, this, don't let the victims that came and pour their hearts out to you get lost. They need to be heard. I'm also going to keep bringing the same message about the undue influence that I allege of between the CPAB members of from Scientology, Janet Wieland, and LAPD being able to use lawfare, okay, against protest because for their own view, for their own doing. Okay, because things that maybe, like you said, like say if somebody pulls off a sign and they get arrested for that, is that a felony? Is that a $50,000, $25,000 bail? Okay, there's, if some, if they're overdoing, they're overextending, they're using their contacts, and I'm asking you to please overlook everything that Northeast Division is doing for, with regards to anyone arrested with, dealing with Scientology issues, that it is a fair process, that it is the same process that you would apply to anyone else. So if I called in and said, "Hey, somebody ripped off my sign," would that person be having a $25,000 bail? That's for one charge. So there's this unfairness, and I'm begging you, been begging you to intervene with CPAB, suspend Scientology from CPAB, look into everything that's been done against protesters. And if if there is a crime, whatever that they want to pursue, that you feel that needs to be pursued, that it be done fairly, that it be done in relationship to what everyone else would have to face, but not that it gets like amplified because it's Scientology. I am begging you to have to get involved with this and deal with the CPAB influence. And what we call safe pointing, where they have such a relationship with people that they pick and they do their bidding. I am saying I believe this is going on.
I'll post it in just a minute.
The next speaker, Jason Reedy.
Unless Miriam has a link handy. I don't want to get out of this section here.
Okay, so we now have all learned the specific racist, sexist, and homophobic comments made by pigs from the LAPD's Employment and Recruitment Division, the one that Errol wants to celebrate today. The same pigs that Craig Lally and others within the department call poster children for the LAPD. Now, the recorded racial epithets, slurs, and viewpoints expressed by your pigs reflect the same type of shit we hear at this commission from commenters that you scoff at the regular, as if the same language and rhetoric we hear from them is any different from what's being said at every station, every division, and at every level of this department. Now, LAPD is saying they're going to investigate whether the latest recordings were made illegally. And the concern of this commission, the LAPD, and the media is that this scandal is a roadblock to growing the ranks of this department. But the concern of the public is what these pigs did when you had them deployed in our communities. You have pig Christian Flores, who called the police on black kids selling chocolate in his Simi Valley neighborhood because they don't belong here. What black youth was Flores terrorizing when he was stationed at 77th Division? Aaron McKay, who called black people monkeys, was on the Use of Force Review Board as of June 2024. How many cases did he review where he sanctioned violence against black people? And his last post was also at 77th Division. How many black people that he again thought of as monkeys were victim to his terror? Now, Jim, you said Captain Robin Patillo, the head of the Recruitment and Employment Division, was sent home for a similar but separate issue. When will we learn the details of what was said and what she did? I'll remind this commission and the public that the LAPD hasn't sustained a racial bias complaint in at least 17 years. Right? Calling William Good a black fool isn't worthy of discipline. Commissioners like Rasha Shields argued that this scandal and others are aberrations. But the history of LAPD, both past and present, reveals that these scandals reflect the true nature of this department. And this leads me to one of the biggest propaganda pushes the LAPD's made over the years, that a more diverse workforce equals less bias, less discrimination, blah, blah, blah. DEI was readily adopted by LAPD, and its primary use as a smokescreen to deceive the public into thinking that because the department is 70% people of color, somehow translates to being at the quote-unquote vanguard of innovation, trust, and transparency. DEI is liberal counterinsurgency, right? And part of the wide array of counterinsurgency tactics used by the LAPD that includes community policing, nonprofits like the Los Angeles Police Foundation, and the use of the media to spread your fictitious narratives. A bold-faced lie that has been told over and over again to fortify consent for the LAPD's continued occupation of this colony that we call Los Angeles. And the assimilation of marginalized groups will never hide one of the main missions of this department, the destruction of black and brown bodies. The idea that the LAPD isn't what it was 10, 20, 30, even 40 years ago because it isn't as white is hogwash. You use black and brown faces to pacify our communities to show the public the quote-unquote progress that has been made. But in reality, the racism, sexism, and homophobia that flow from your most colorful pigs in the red division would easily come out the mouths of pigs like Ed Davis and Daryl Gates. LAPD has proven that it isn't quote-unquote a beacon of the true diversity within our city. It has always been and will always be the beacon of white supremacy within our city and beyond. Errol Southers, the fact that you tell me shut up when I'm just...
Thank you. Thank you. Your public comment period has expired.
The next speaker, please, William Good.
They're not following their rules.
So to be clear, once again, crime is down year over year, just like you said last week and the week before and the week before. Last year, same thing. Crime is down with fewer officers. So why are you raiding our budget? You guys are defunding our city. Now, Errol wants to give credit to the recruiting department as if those 4 or 5 employees are just an aberration, as if this racism isn't widespread. I talked about this last week. I'll talk about it again. I'm minding my business on Hollywood Boulevard grabbing a smoothie when officers in uniform came up to me and they said to me, "You are right. They are racist as fuck." His exact words. Officers in uniform are telling me this. Why are they telling me this? That tells me that there's a serious problem. Now, if it's bad for these officers, because these officers are saying that we are getting off of work and leaving the Hollywood station, and the HED officers are pulling them over because they are black. How do you think it feels for the rest of us in the community and what we have to deal with? This is not an aberration, Errol. This is widespread. As Jason just mentioned, an officer called me a black fool. It's caught on tape. You guys accidentally released those internal affairs files to me. I should never have known about it. But accidentally, I got that. And when I look at it, it said the cop called me a black fool. You guys ruled. He was just blowing off steam. He was just blowing off steam. Why? Because I caught him making an illegal search and I got his punk ass suspended. But now I'm the problem for that because of his misconduct and I become the black fool. And when I sent him an email over and over again, I've now up to 17
I'm
emails.
sorry, you were
And all of you
disrespected one
are
moment.
CC'd on those emails where I asked him, for one, will black fool, because this cop called me a black fool. They said it was non-disciplinary. He wasn't disciplined. Said it was non-disciplinary. So I asked him, will this continue to be non-disciplinary? He hasn't said a word. I saw him in a parade. We talked face to face for a half an hour. Not a word. Didn't say, said good morning. Don't you think we deserve to know if being called a black fool, if another member, Jason, is called a black fool? Don't you think we deserve to know if that's going to be disciplinary? You talk about recruitment being down. People are seeing these stories. They're seeing this racist-ass police force. They're seeing a racist, and you know what they're saying? I don't want to be involved with that. Why the fuck do I want to be involved with that? That's why your recruiting is down, not because this guy's running around saying it's the media's fault. It's the media narrative. It's your own fucking narrative. Enjoy your day.
The next speaker, Mistress Bongisha.
Guess my cure and correct didn't work on it.
All right. Good morning. So Chief, first of all, talking about the news
Okay.
is that I want to voice my support for that whistleblower. My concern is that is the same concern as the Kevin De Leon whistleblower. I just afraid that obviously he recorded the video without anyone's consent, obviously. But again, if he got punished, if he got a charge, I'm afraid that no one will ever record those incidents and no one will ever report those issues to you. So you will never hear those issues again if he got punished. But again, you have to follow the law. If he breaks the law, it's hard. But anyway, that's my first point. Second point is, Chief, is normally I thought I wouldn't pursue this any further, but again, yesterday I saw that one lieutenant, one sergeant, 4 officers on the name on the news, and then out of those 6 names, I recognize 2 of them, Sergeant Danny Zhang and then the officer Shirley Burgos. Those are the 2 officers that I interact with. I informed the officer that I currently don't have a phone, and I informed the officer that is there a way that if you they send me an email to do something called a pre-background interview, and I said, is there a way that you can schedule me a time, schedule me a day, I will go to your office, let's just do everything in person. Currently I don't have a phone services. And then officer said, can you believe this? This guy wants to become LAPD and he doesn't even have a phone. Well, good luck to you, sir. And then he said, let me give you my sergeant. Never mind. So, and then I was transferred to Sergeant Danny Jen. And then I explained my issues and I said, maybe I have a class schedule. Maybe I don't have a cell phone services. Is there a way to do that in person? And then the sergeant informed me over the phone that, sir, you clearly cannot follow command. You clearly have a problem with following instructions. If you cannot do this, you are not going to succeed in this hiring process. But again, I don't know how do I get around that if I just don't have a phone. But anyway, he said, never mind, sir. You know what? Forget about your pre-background interview. I will send your file to, personnel department, let them deal with you. All right, we're done right here. So the conversation is disconnected. I submitted the paperwork, the email, to one of your staff right there. Hopefully you get it before the end of the week. And then that's the conversation. And then I just, right now, I just hope that 2 years ago I was here, I don't have 10-year legal residency. And as of 2025 right now, I just have established my 10-year legal residency and I thought I can move forward. But anyway.
Thank you.
The next speaker, Jonathan Foster.
Hello, Jonathan Foster. Good morning, Chief. Good morning, President Dr. Errol Southers. That flat tire bull sham is not here. Why? Good morning, Commissioner Calanche, Commissioner Garcia, Commissioner Sanchez Gordon, Inspector General Yu, Mr. Sibley, and I 2 times forgot De La Guerra and the 2 assistants, Munoz and Silva. I'm Jonathan Foster. I think you know I'm pretty upset. Was a lot of talk about the missing guns. Nobody ever speaks about the guns. And what has happened is that everybody up there, except for De La Guerra and the 2 assistants, is all different. So you people weren't around when they talked again and again and again about these missing guns. Where are they? And this is by design. And what we've seen is this whole thing changes, right? You know what? Do you know why this red rope is here? You know why I'm not allowed to come over here? You know why? Do you know why nobody sits here? It's because the aunt of Waukesha Wilson threw her ashes into the mouth of Chief Illuminati Beck, punched him in the mouth, essentially. That's why we can't go over this. That's what the border is. Nobody's allowed to be here. Activist. You're no longer a judge. You're just a dope activist from Mexico who's you are a rogue foreign enemy combatant that lost the Mexican-American War. And today you're here wanting to just change up all the laws and let everybody in Mexico stay here because you said so. Shut up. That's who needs to shut up, is your activist mouth about who gets killed around here. So what you should do, instead of figuring out how to let them all stay here, you should be figuring out how to stop Latinos from killing in every city in America. That's your new job, activist. I am so sick of your voice of murder that does have no accountability. You need to go to jail with her and him and her and him. You're so lucky I can't put hands on you and put handcuffs on you and put you in a cage, lady. And everybody that thinks like this. Because if they killed me, you don't care. So I don't care about you no more. The girl, you laughed, not her, but you.
Thank you.
The next speaker, please, Kuyan Ball. Okay. Hamed Khan. Hamed Khan, please.
Sir, you're being ordered from the room. Thank you. Sir, if you could just wait till we remove him from the room. Thank you. Thank you.
So,
Yep, just you, Audit.
February 27th is when LAPD murdered this trans sex worker, Linda Becerra Moran. And as it is again in routine, as LAPD continues to murder people, particularly who are having mental health condition. So this woman, who is a sex worker, was kidnapped, calls 911, LAPD shows up and murders her. And now we see this doctored, tape that is being floating around on YouTube. But it's again, as we see this, we got to see this whole thing about spewing racism, homophobia, sexism, and all this violence, because it is then put into practice. So transphobia is put into practice. Hatred for people who are disabled, hatred for people who are having mental health conditions is a practice as well. And that's exactly which leads to that. Now, coming to these tapes that came out, we got this information from Post, the police officers' standards training. So most of the time, this fucking commission comes back and recommends more training, more resources, more money. So let's look at their fucking training records. Denny Jong, who was hired in 2006 and made $284,000 last year,
right? That's his pay package, including all the things. He had 102 trainings. He has gone through 102 trainings, including implicit bias and community policing, including beyond bias, racial and ID profiling, including, again, implicit bias is written so many times that you get tired reading about it. Organization wellness, human trafficking update, post-traumatic stress disorder, use of force and de-escalation, racial profiling update. So this is the kind of trainings these people go through, and then they come back and kind of do the same thing. Well, let's look at Shirley Burgos. Was also hired in 2006, made over $207,000, went through 49 different training programs, 49 different trainings, same thing, crowd management, crowd control, communications, keeping your edge, strategic communication, beyond racial bias, hate crimes, implicit bias, and community policing, and on and on and on. That is why we talk about abolition. And that is why we are so grateful that we have the Watch the Watchers website. That's why we can go and look at these fools and these pigs and see what they look like so the community knows who these people are. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Give more training? Give more resources about implicit bias, about de-escalation, about racial profiling, about hate crimes, about crowd control? These are the motherfuckers who are going to do crowd control. These are the people who leave home. And let's not talk about Earl Wright, 2013, a black officer.
Thank you. Thank you. Your public comment period has expired. Your public comment period has expired. You are disrupting the meeting. This is your first and last warning.
The next speaker, please, Jamie Cusick.
Last April, then 16-year-old Natalie Aguilar was at a party in Santa Clarita at the house of LAPD officer Vincent DeGlinosenti when DeGlinosenti grabbed a woman's arm. Aguilar approached DeGlinosenti to see what he was doing, and he immediately became enraged and began cursing her out. This is an adult man, by the way. And again, a 16-year-old girl. He ran into his house and came out again seconds later with a shotgun, which he pointed at her. Needless to say, she was unarmed because it was a party. DeGlinosenti then racked the shotgun, at which point Aguilar entered a state of immobilizing shock. When she regained some control of her body, she began walking away from DeGlinosenti, and he proceeded to follow her down the driveway and into the street. Cell phone footage confirms that he was yelling, "I'll send your ass to heaven," and "say goodbye." Aguilar managed to escape this nightmare physically unharmed, but she and her entire family remain traumatized. Noises still trigger her. She continues to have difficulty falling asleep, and she was shaking and hyperventilating 6 months after the incident while recounting it to journalists. Aguilar filed a detailed report with the Santa Clarita Sheriff's Department. It took over a month for Deputy Cecilia Conrad to follow up with Aguilar and her family at their home. When she arrived, Aguilar told the deputy she wanted to file charges against DeGlinosenti. Deputy Conrad ended the meeting early, and Aguilar never heard from her again. To this day, almost a year later, still no case against DeGlinosenti has been filed, even though Aguilar has gone to the sheriff's office multiple times because LASD never presented a possible case for filing consideration. And it's still unclear whether DeGlinosenti has faced any consequences within the LAPD for pulling a fucking shotgun on a 16-year-old. Detective Timothy Hope of LAPD's Internal Affairs Division, the unit that's supposed to be in charge of investigating officer misconduct, knows all about this incident because the LA Taco directly informed him of it by phone. As Aguilar herself says, DeGlinosenti is being protected because he is in the LAPD. She says, if this was a person of color on the street, it would have been handled ASAP, but it's him, so they don't want to do anything. I agree. And as we've all known for long before that LA Times article came out, the people you hire are violent, they're racist, they're misogynistic, and they're homophobic. To Jason's earlier point, DeGlinosenti is not an aberration or an exception. He is the rule. The institution of policing is violent, racist, misogynistic, and transphobic. Its purpose is to oppress and terrorize civilians. You do not serve and protect. You don't keep us safe. We keep us safe. Fuck the police. I'll yield the rest of my time.
The next speaker, Matios Kadane.
Yeah, so again, every week I come over here and it's theater, it's theatrics, and you know, the beauty of kind of these explicit moments of LAPD racism. I'm talking about the LA Times article that leaked what the personnel kind of office was saying, is that it brings things to light. This is actually a moment of honesty for the LAPD. Those comments that we heard are LAPD being honest, right? And so, I think I just want to highlight that, if anything, the example Hamid brought up of a black officer, being taunted by watermelon and chicken, the George Floyd Valentine being circulated around the LAPD that said, "You take my breath away." These are all moments of clear and explicit, just honesty about what this department is and what it's about. And, even this whole notion of trainings, right? This whole notion that things can be trained away, that policies can be altered. Moments like this, 100 trainings later, as Hamid highlighted, 100 and some years into the department, we're still seeing that explicit racism, and we're still seeing it celebrated and tolerated. No one's really going to face consequences for this instance. Regardless of, the number of these little tiny moments that are kind of salacious, of commentary, of words, despite that, we're inundated, right, with killings, literal killings, which are truly, if you're grounded in reality, if you're sane, the true measure of violence, right? And when we look at the racial disparity in those killings, those are the true metric of what this department is. And that's the reality we stay grounded in. So I just want to say, as scandalous as this is, we're not shaken or really surprised by any means. And if anything, it just diminishes all these fucking comments over here. I also want to uplift the name of Linda Becerra-Marone, just like other folks did, the trans sex worker that was shot by LAPD on February 7th, and as Hamid said, succumbed to her injuries on February 27th. Just to say, this department does so much posturing around human trafficking. There's so much theater. You bring in groups like Zoe that demonize consensual sex work, and you're meant to be kind of the saviors in this instance. Let's talk about what happened to Linda. Linda called you. Linda was being trafficked and Linda wanted help. Here's an instance that the LAPD always exploits. And what happens? The department shows up because this woman asked for help. If you watch the video, they demean her, they taunt her, they yell at her. They treat her like she's subhuman, right? And how does the LAPD finally solve the issue of human trafficking? Poor Linda has a knife to her own neck, a knife that never leaves her neck. Watch the video. And then you shoot her. That's LAPD's response to human trafficking. A woman asks for help and you kill her. You can't train that away. That is bloodlust. That's a culture. That's something that can't be washed out in any means.
Thank you.
The next speaker, Grace Z.
I'm uplifting her again because we will not let her name be forgotten. On February 7th, LAPD shot and ultimately murdered Linda Becerra-Marone. They shot her after she called for help, as Mateo said, as she was being held hostage in a motel. That is the reality, no matter how much LAPD tries to obscure it. The doctored body cam footage they released is just another example of LAPD's well-documented habit of falsifying records to justify their own violence. Even in its edited state, the video makes it clear. LAPD officers saw a trans Latina sex worker in crisis and decided she was disposable. For weeks, LAPD kept her hospital room under armed guard while she was dying, as if she was the criminal. She died on February 27th, unplugged from life support. LAPD took over a week to even acknowledge her death, and now, as they've done with every person they've murdered, they will try to rewrite the narrative until their version becomes official record. You will let them. The police commission's job is not oversight, it is damage control. You will issue a statement pretending to care, stall the investigation until public outreach subsides, and ultimately rule that Linda's murder was, quote, within policy. Because that is exactly what you always do. It's what you did after Keenan Anderson, after Daniel Elena Lopez, after every person whose name has been erased from these meetings because their deaths were never seen as more than an administrative matter. But Linda will not be erased, and we will not let her and others be forgotten. And while you're busy justifying yet another murder, the department's recruitment office is proving exactly what kind of people this institution attracts. Officers handpicked to shape the next generation of LAPD were caught on record spewing racist, sexist, and homophobic slurs, bragging about how to best brutalize Black people, mocking a Latino janitor with anti-Mexican slurs, casually reinforcing the violent ideologies that define this department. But this is not a failure of recruitment. It is the intended outcome. LAPD doesn't accidentally end up with violent bigots. The department actively selects for them. This commission has never acted to stop LAPD's violence, but the moment the public refuses to sit in silent submission, you lash out. You let cops murder with impunity, yet you police laughter. Telling someone to sit down and shut up is honestly the most honest thing you've done, because that's exactly what this commission is designed to do. Silence dissent, protect killers, and uphold a system built on white supremacy. At every level, this system is functioning exactly as designed, killing, lying, expanding, and laundering public money into police hands. And at every level, the commission, you, are here to rubber stamp it. You will sit here expressionless while people come up and name the atrocities that this department commits. You will always pretend to listen, but then you will do what you always do, nothing.
The next speaker, Melina Abdullah.
We say her name, Linda Becerra Moran. Linda Becerra Moran, say her name. Linda Becerra Moran, we say her name. Say her name. All of you are complicit and have her blood on your hands. All of you are complicit and have her blood on your hands. And you all continue to be complicit in a murderous, violent police department. We are in a crisis moment in this country. And you all have to consider who you stand for and who you fight for. What will you do? Will you be the Trump supporters? Will you be the Los Angeles Trumpers? Because that's what you're doing right now. I know you're thinking, I didn't vote for her. I voted for Kamala, right? It's really important that you understand that you are rubber stamping the fascism and racism and violent sexism and all of the transphobia that pervades this country and this world that's spewed through Donald Trump, but is carried out by you. By you. When you refuse to even say the word racist, Jim McConnell, I'm talking to you, Jim. You work for us. You're supposed to work for us, and you can't say the word racist. You can't say that it was more than inappropriate. It was degrading and dehumanizing, and it is the culture of LAPD to be degrading and dehumanizing. When you, Judge Teresa, sit there and say, it's people of all colors who did this. I know what you're trying to do. We are smarter than that. But one of the things that we understand is that when cops join LAPD, they are no longer Black or brown, they are blue. And this is what we see being played out with the racist comments that were caught on tape. But remember, that comes from somewhere. Remember in 2019 when you all deliberately recruited white supremacists into LAPD by advertising in Breitbart, a white supremacist outlet? Remember when you did that? Remember when you ignored all of the complaints of racism filed every year against this department and have done nothing for almost 20 years? You ruled all of them out of ineligible for investigation. You didn't do anything. You've done nothing. But Errol, I don't come here very much anymore. I'm disgusted and appalled by your behavior and how you spoke to people. You are emanating the worst of what this regime is by talking to women the way that you did. You're no better than Trump. I know you want to be important.
Thank you. Thank you. Your public comment period has expired. Step away from the podium. Your public comment period has expired. You are disrupting the meeting. You are disrupting the meeting. This is your first and last warning. I'm ordering you out of the room. I'm ordering you out of the room. I am ordering you out of the room. I am ordering you out of the room. Please leave the room. The commission will go into recess until the room is empty. The commission will go into recess.
Oh, come on. Like, we only had like one person more to go anyways. Yeah, audit. I think I'll just reuse last week's hearing correct. Just shake my head. I know, was it that lady that was talking that wouldn't sit down? Somebody wouldn't step away from the podium, so they cleared the room. But they're not allowed, Sophia, they're not allowed to respond. It's by law, they are not allowed to respond. So you could go in with all sorts of issues. The most they're going to do is say, go talk to one of the police detectives. Let's see if they start us back up. I'll be right back. That's about the time that they're going to start us back up, too. Sorry, guys. We've seen some apathy. We've seen some reactions a couple of times, but that's literally what they're not supposed to be doing. Well, I'm sorry, the one and only, if you've been disrespected, but honestly, it's hard to answer questions when they're in the meeting and when they're doing that because I can't do both, type and that. So I'm sorry if you feel disrespected, but maybe this isn't the channel for you. None of us are disrespectful in here to anybody. So thank you, but come again. Well, because it's hard to answer questions when we're in the middle of a meeting and trying to listen. And we're very informative around here, extremely informative. But please don't be rude to my mods. Sorry, Peter, I'm not trying to be rude. I just did a whack-a-troll. I'm not dealing with whack-a-trolls. And they can email me if they feel that they're being unduly targeted with my whack-a-troll. So life is tough. Thank you, but come again. It's because we like sitting on the couch together, Peter. I'm okay with that. But that person can email me my emails on my channel if they feel they've been unjustly hidden. Ugh. Right, Miriam? Well, Miriam, you got the frickin' wrench, man. I don't mind questions. I enjoy questions. But wrong timing, not in the middle of a police commission when you're trying to listen and you're all trying to be ready just in case you are called. It's not the right time. Oh, funny. Well, I wonder if we're going to come back online. I'm hungry. I'm ready for some lunch. Haggis, send me some lunch. Yeah, exactly. And I just went to that person's channel and they have 1 subscriber. So, there we go. We're going to get back online, you guys. I don't know yet, Antics.
Commission will resume its public comment period. Madam Secretary, please call the next speaker.
The next speaker is Puppet.
So they ain't going to call us frickin' anyways.
Let's see here. We'll bring today's new puppet. It's okay.
Thank you. So today we will be talking in this hostile environment. Oh, it's good. There's Jim. There's Jim. So we want to thank Jim for finding out about the Uber criminals. See, Jim, last year, as you know, I discovered this first. It was over off of Mulholland Highway at Havenhurst and Encino where I first discovered, well, this person here first discovered that. These trucks were driving up and stopping, and then they were getting out without packages, and then they were coming out with packages. How did that happen, Jim? See, the amazing part that Jim forgot to put down is that when they steal the shit with the uniform, they actually stuff the stolen items in a package and bring it outside to the truck to make it look like a delivery. Let's give them a hand for that.
What did Jim know? Or did you, really?
Yeah.
I don't understand that. Why didn't Jim disclose that?
Well, apparently these are called quote-unquote investigatory tactics, and he's not allowed to publicly display it. But you can thank me, Jim. You can thank me. And then, of course, the tapes. Yes, those lovely tapes. Yeah, and it was done on company time this time. And you want to remember something, that the person who's the snitch, and by the way, the boys in blue hate fucking snitches. Everybody hates a snitch, Jim. And you know, he's got a lawyer already, Mr. Smythe or Smith or whatever his fucking name is. And you know what he's doing? He says that this very department is investigating whether he, the informant, committed a crime in recording his colleagues surreptitiously. And it's interesting there, Judge. I want to know your opinion, Your Honor, about that. Because you see, we have Gil Cedillo and my good friend Kevin De Leon suing the LA Federation of Labor over the exact same goddamn thing, where they were city council city employees being surreptitiously recording for racist remarks. They're trying to sue the union that it's a crime. Well, is it a crime there, Sheriff? Is it a crime, Attorney General? How about you, Calanche? You're a lawyer. Is it a crime? Is it a crime? No, you don't want to talk? How about you there, city attorney, still hiding my fucking documents on my case you forgot to tell me about? Is it there? You forgot to tell me. So anyway, let's take a roll call here. How many people want more tapes next week?
Shit, I do.
Okay. No, you're overruled, so we'll give you next week off. Go fuck yourselves. Thank you.
And there are no other speakers, sir.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. We'll now go on to agenda item number 3, consent agenda items.
Fucking bunch of people.
We have items 3A through K on the agenda. Are there any questions or comments on any of these agenda items? Commissioner Garcia? Commissioner Calanche,
That is just bullshit.
Commissioner Sanchez Gordon.
Audit. I'm getting off from that. That is just bullshit. There were other speakers. There's a whole bunch of us on Zoom. More curing corrects coming their way. That's just bullshit. And Sophia, I totally agree with you that yeah, they respond when they feel like they're being disrespected, huh? Yeah, they're going into closed session. That is just total BS. Okay, you guys, well, I'm back and forth into the BS myself here. So, I'm going to close it up for this. It was at least audit got on. Oh, come on, buddy. Stop. Sorry, the dog decided to step on my computer. I know. Well, at least audit got on. At least we had one. But that's completely bullshit. So I will talk to you guys all later.